Hey guys, it's James Walsh here from the Wrestling Epicenter. I'd like to thank you for finding us here on YouTube. If you get the opportunity, please click that subscribe button as well as the notifications bell. This way, anytime that we upload any new content or new to you content from our archives dating back to 2002, you'll be notified. You can check out what we're up to. Please also check out www.wrestlingepicenter.com for all your wrestling news and information needs, as well as check out our store to keep us running free and clear. Without any further delay, let's get to why you're here. Thanks for checking out Wrestling Epicenter on YouTube.
Portland wrestling legend, Len the Grappler Denton. Mr. Denton, how's it going this evening?
Hey, good, buddy. Thank you very much for that introduction, and I appreciate you having me on your show.
It's great to have you. It's been for those who don't know the backstory, we've been talking, God, is it 2 years now, something like that?
Back and forth,
Yeah, I've been bothered on trying to get Roddy Piper, and then it occurred to me one day I was watching a few shoot interviews, one with Jake Roberts, one with Marty Jannetty, and your name came up twice. And then I did an interview with Paul Bearer, Percy Pringle, and it occurred to me, I'm an idiot. I should have just asked him to do an interview.
You hurt my feelings. I'm like, golly, what am I just like, one of the guys who carries towels around for him? I just wrestled in the Superdome, the Sumo Palace, Texas Stadium, and all those places.
Exactly. We apologize that we didn't think of it sooner.
Anyway, I just thought it was funny. But no, I understand. Roddy's and Mr. Piper is very, very hard. Everyone wants him on their show, and well, so be, because he is a talented individual. I told him him on my show first, too. To be honest with you.
Thank you for that. I guess the first question, since you're so well associated with Portland wrestling, and of course Roddy Piper is one of the first names that come out of that. I guess, what was he like when you and he were in the same territory?
Well, I met to start out. I was in Charlotte, North Carolina, wrestling, and I probably was. I'm 19 years old, and I was looking for the Crockett's. It was called Mid-Atlantic Wrestling, and that's when I met Roddy. And we go way back then. I don't know what year it was, but then when I come to work for Don Owens, here in Portland, I've been wrestling about 10 years, and that's back in '86. And Roddy was doing his movies and stuff then, and he was working some for Vince, but mainly doing the Hollywood stuff. Mm-hmm. And then he came back and he started doing a little part-time stuff here with Don Owens, and me and him kind of shared the duties of running the thing, because he was away, so I'm a lot on the movie thing, and we could stay in communication via phone or whatever. But a lot of times he was at the show, and I can tell you, in that year and a half span that we did that, we set some records around here drawing houses. Roddy's very, very smart at getting those butts in the seats out there, and he's very talented. And I've been doing it in Kansas City for Auto Race and Bob Geigler, which is what they call booking or running the show, and I've done some in Texas, and then I came here, and me and Roddy, we just see the gel. Like when we do that, we really gel good together. We can bounce stuff off each other and come up with ideas, and it seemed the people liked it, and we did. The numbers proved it, and they did real well. And I'm not bragging; it was just a good time. We had fun. We made some money.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but that was about the time that all that stuff was going on in Portland with Art Barr, right?
Yeah, Art was doing. Well, what actually happened? Roddy come in, and of course, they evaluated talent. Right, we're looking at it. And you got Art Barr there, and he weighs about 160 pounds or 70 pounds. But he was really talented worker. He was a good, he could talk good and everything. The kids all loved him. And then Roddy said, remember the movie Beetlejuice?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Roddy, that was just out, and he said, he came up with that totally, I give him man credit. He said, I got an idea for art. Let's make some Beetlejuice. And it was the coolest thing, because we took a big sheet, and we did it on the Crow's Nest, which was the interview area, where we used to do all our interviews between matches and before and after and all that. And he said, what you need is like, today I guess you would say it would be what they call a makeover. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
And he said, all right, Bar, you're getting your butt whooped every week, so we're going to change that. First thing better attitude, you need this, you need that, you got to get a different look. And these people, they want something different out of you. And he got the sheet, and this poor guy's helmet where the fans couldn't see him, and he stripped down nude. He threw his underwear over the top of it, and he put on all this garb and powdered him up, and then all of a sudden, there you are, folks, it's Beetlejuice. And then the people loved it. They loved it. They started playing that music, Deo, and he'd go to the ring, and he'd have kids lined up all the way around the ring, following him and dancing, and it was just a hell of an idea.
Wow. I've actually seen tapes of this, and because I was a huge Art Barr fan when.
I love Art. I love Art Barr, and I actually loved the wrestling. Art was like a night off. That's what they call it. Night off. The guys that good. He was just really good in the ring.
Yeah, and it's and I know this.
It's funny. It's funny, James. I was wrestling him, and one night we got TV to TV in Portland, right? And then I'm wrestling Beetlejuice, and he plays music. I'm in the ring, and I'm stomping around, and that back then the people really did get mad at you. And so I'm stomping around, and he's like, here comes Art with his music, all the kids following, like, and Deo, and he comes around, and he gets in the ring, and the first one that's behind the kid is my daughter, dressed up, painted like Beetlejuice.
Oh, boy.
She's like, I don't know, 6 or 7, 8 years old. And Art puts her on his hand, raises her up and says, tell me you hate the Grappler. She goes, I hate the Grappler. I go, that's my own daughter. Get her out of here, Art. I'm going to kill you. It was funny. Art was laughing.
Wow. Quick question. Where did the Grappler gimmick come from?
You heard of a wrestler named, he's a good friend. This young guy, I can't think of it. Don Cornudo. You ever heard of him?
Yes.
Yeah.
You've heard of Don Cornudo from North Carolina?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, when we were in Charlotte at the same, I stole it from Don. Okay, Don Cornudo, we were riding down from a show, and he said, and I had wore a mask a little bit, just like when I did it back in the day with Gordon Soley on the first national TV in Atlanta. Remember Gordon Soley announced it? And I guess Jim Barnett was the owner of the company, Georgia Championship Wrestling. Well, I wore a mask on there, like they'd have you go out in a mask and wrestle on the first tape, and the next tape I'd be Len Denton. And then, like, no way to get more out of you, And so, we were talking about that, and he said, Don says, you know what, if I ever wear a mask, if I ever ask me to wear a mask, I'm going to call myself the Grappler, because that's Whitney's wrestler, and all this. And I said, hey, that's a good name. And about 2 weeks later, I was in Norfolk, Virginia, and I just got back from the gym. We were going to wrestle that night. We're staying at a hotel, staying on the road. And I walked by someone's room. I can't remember who it was. And they said, hey, Lenny, that's what? This is Buck Robley. He's on the phone. He's a booker in Louisiana for Bill Watts, and he needs to speak to you. I said, huh? So I walked in the room. I was on the way back from the gym. And he said, hello, Buck. Do you wear a mask? He said, we need a top heel here. And he said, now I understand you wear a mask, and we're going to give you a push. And I said, yeah, I wear a mask. He goes, what do you call yourself? I went, the Grappler. And that's how it started.
Wow.
And then Don Cornelius still said he was going to kill me over it. But see, Don was legitimately a hell of a wrestler. I mean, amateur style,
Right.
But I can do some, but not even close to what he could. But that's how that name came. And then to put all the, the interview behind it and all that was mine. But the name actually I stole it off of mine.
Wow. You just mentioned Bill Watts.
Yeah.
There's we've interviewed plenty of people, some who like him, some who don't, and there's no in between ground about him. Where do you lie with, in your opinion about Mr. Watts?
Well, you know what? Here's what. That's hard for me to say. I know what he was doing when he was running his territory, and if I was, he did things differently than I would have. He was really stiff. Like one time, he asked me to choose between my dad and the business, and I told him, "Are you out of your mind?" You know what I mean?
Right.
But he taught me a heavy lesson. I was in his territory, and I was on top, and I felt like I was working with Junkyard Dog, with Paul Orndorff, Ted DiBiase, you name it, right? And so at the time, we were doing a show for the Superdome, and I was in the middle of an angle with working a thing to help push Junkyard Dog up to the next level to work it with someone else in the Superdome. I actually worked the tag against Sergeant Slaughter and someone else. I can't remember who it was. And but I'd been on the road for 6 weeks just taking a beating off a dog because he was stiff and stuff. And when he tried to work, he wasn't trying to kill you, but he was pretty stiff. And so we got to the Superdome, and they pushed our match to the main event and put the dog on ahead of us so they could get out there early. And then I went to get my check, and I know what payoff dog junkyard, not knocking Junkyard Dog because I love him to death. I'm just saying he got paid triple what I did. And right. I know that I was only 20 years old, but I looked at it and I went, this just don't seem right, you know? And so I went and I was on the road 2 nights later with Dusty Rhodes, and I said, Dusty, what do you think? He said, Lenny, how old are you? I said, 20. He said, what'd you make for the week? Now this is back in, I don't know, I'm 48 right now, okay? So how many years ago, a long time ago. He says, what did you make for the week total, though? I said, I made $3,000. He goes, how many kids do you know make $3,000 a week? I said, that's not the point. He said, well, it is the point. You need to stop thinking. And so I learned a lesson here. I went in, I said, this is bull crap. I said, I need more money. Matter of fact, I won't give my 2 weeks notice. This is disrespectful. and so he said, fine. He said, so he gave me notice. I gave him the notice. He come back and the next week and he said, look, I got you booked in Charlotte with Ole Anderson, and they're going to take you and your partner, and they're going to put the World Tag Team straps on you off the Steamboat Brothers. Jay and his brother, I knew him, and I said, cool. He said, so it all worked out. I said, cool. I went there, and the next check that I received was for $300, and I drove 3,000 miles.
Oh, wow.
It was all a big work. And I looked at Ole, how in the hell am I supposed to feed my family on this? He said, I guess next time you open your mouth, you think before you talk now.
Huh. Wow.
So I got my stories there. But, I don't hate anyone, but he wouldn't have been at that time my favorite promoter, I'll put it that way.
Actually, it works kind of even with people who interview him. I interviewed him with another co-host, and the co-host could not stand him after we hung up the phone. I'm like, no, that's odd. I kind of liked him. So, I mean, it works both ways. There is no middle ground.
I got along with Bill. He took me. I didn't have a break. And it was his television show with his money and his thing. I went up there and wrestled. Of course, I had to get it across.
Right.
He gave me an opportunity. So I was young then, and I probably would have done it differently. But you know what? It's like I told my dad before. He used to say, you know what? If I was your age and I know what I know now, I'd be a millionaire. I said, I want you to tell me what you know. We'll split it. He said, it don't work like that, brother. You got to go out and learn it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I do have a question, and if it's a sore spot, please let me know. Were you ever contacted to work in the WWF?
Actually, when Roddy was here, that time that I told you he was doing those movies, okay, Vince was just making a real big push to put everybody out of business, right?
Right.
And I was leaving because we had finished up with the commission, actually, basically put Tom Owens out of business. So if he wouldn't have, things would have.
Right.
But I said, well, I've been here 5 years. I've run my course. I'm heading back to Texas, which is where I'm from. And was making plans to do that or make a move. And Roddy called me aside and said, look, you know what? I trust you, Lenny. We've known each other since you were a kid. And I trust you, and I would like to open a business in town. And if you pick whatever one you want, and I'll front the money. And so that's how I ended up in the transmission shop. That was really an Einstein move. But anyway, I actually ended up making money out of it in the long run. We did real well, so I shouldn't say that. But I said, and so I took told Roddy I'd do it. Okay, when we opened the transmission shop. So then when everything went down and Don was out of business, they actually called me 2 or 3 times and asked me to come, and I turned them down.
Wow.
But I gave my word to the man that I will do this, and he's already sunk his money into it. How are you going to go to Roddy and go, hey, Roddy, I can't. I got to go work for Vince. He just said, That just ain't the way we done things, you know. If I give you my word, I gotta stand behind it. And you know what? You can't look over your shoulder and say, I could have went to WWE. It was WWE in 2 days broke my ankle. Who knows, right?
Exactly.
So I mean, I think I did the right thing. We had the shop for 14 years. We paid the property off. We sold the property, made money. We did, so everything worked out in here. You know?
Wow.
Yeah. I could have went. Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead and finish your statement.
I was just saying. So I think that you could sit and think, oh man, maybe I should have got me a 5-year run, or I could have did this. But as you know, wrestling, a lot of it's politics too. I could have got there with somebody not like me, and I could have been there 3 months, and then I burned it. And here's one of my best friends. I hung you, knocked you dry, and left you. I couldn't do that. Is what I'm saying.
Exactly. Actually, ironically, they just brought in Tully Blanchard to be an agent last week. And I think he made it. Yeah, I think WWE did. They brought him in to be an agent. He lasted all of 4 days before he got into a fight with one of the guys and quit.
Oh, he got the fight?
Yeah, with JBL.
Oh, he did? I'm sorry, man.
He and JBL got into a fight, yeah.
Well, who got the fight with him?
JBL. Bradshaw.
No kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Suppose they didn't like each other. So.
Well, I guess the next question I was going to ask you.
You never know, maybe.
Oh, good, sir.
You never know. Now if they got a spot open, maybe I can get a job as major. I doubt it.
You never know. I mean, if Roddy can make a comeback as a wrestler, who knows,
Well, you know what, though, brother? The people love Roddy, They love to watch Roddy, no matter what he's doing out there. He earned that, I think,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, we've mentioned his name quite a bit. The other name that comes to mind when you think of Portland wrestling is Don Owens. You got a story about him you can share with us?
Yeah, I do. Don Owens told me that when I came, I'm from Texas, like I said. He said, every time we come in this one room, it was famous. All the guys after the show would come into Don's office and he'd pay you. And Don always wanted to tell stories and everything. And every week he said, this dumb Texan, he can't draw flies enough. He can't do this. He can't. Because I was the first official booker he ever hired. He never really had a booker before. It was always just the boys helping out each other, and never really had a booker. So I told him, I said, Don, I got tired of hearing that every week, right? I said, tell you what, right from Boston, you give me 6 weeks and you let me do what I want to on this TV, and I'll sell this place away. I'll sell this place out. He goes, there ain't no way. This place ain't been sold out since Rose and Piper did it back in 1999, right? I said, handshake, come on, you're a man, you're word, let's go. I stood up and said, man or mouth, speak up, And so Don says, you're on. Everybody sees that you're out. I said, you know what? If I don't sell it out, you won't have to fire me. I'll get my bag and leave. He said, nope, you're on. He shook my hand. And so I didn't blow my hammer. I pushed everything and everything. I thought I had a good thing going. And we actually turned away 600 people right at Christmas. Okay?
Wow.
And then, Don told me to cut his clinchers. When I went in, I was all proud of myself, right? When I went in to get paid, Don goes, he's all mad. I said, what are you mad about? We just sold out, turned away 600. He said, yeah, no 600 people ain't never going to come back. I'm pissed off. Don, I said, you complain if you hung with the new rope. He said, they'll never come back to the match if you couldn't even get in tonight.
Wow.
Taking a quick step back, you mentioned a name earlier on with Bill Watts. You mentioned Jim Barnett.
Jim Barnett, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everybody that I know that I've interviewed does a Jim Barnett impression. Do you do one?
No, you know what? I never was around him that much. Here's my whole thing with Jim. I worked a year in Atlanta, and we got a check on Tuesday. I was there for about 2 months, and they said, hey, if you want to make some extra money, because they were only booking me 4 days a week, some 5, they said they asked me to come down to the arena to train the new guys. Right. Well, I was new. I was only been in the business a year, but they allowed me just the way it worked. And so I would do that, and then one week Angelo Mosca broke his shoulder, and he was working Angle with Thunderbolt Patterson around the loop. And so they needed somebody to fill his spot. So they take me to the ring. I worked the first match, and then I'd come back in the second match. I'd go over and come back in the second match, and I'd work in Angelo's spot. And Angelo would manage me sitting in the chair and would wrestle Thunder Bill Paddock. And so at the end of the week, I think I made, it was like $800, and it was and so I was investing. That was at that time the biggest check I'd ever made. And so the only time I really got to see or talk to Barnett, I went and got my check and he says, "Hey, Mr. Barnett wants to speak to you." I'm like, "What? Me?" He said, "Yeah." I went around. He says, "Hey, what'd you make?" I told him. He goes, "How's that the most you ever made?" I said, "I always remember the biggest check, the first one came from James E. Barnett." And that's the only thing. And I've never spoke to him other than that. So I don't really have an impression of him. But he wanted to let me know that he's the first one who gave me a decent check, in the business.
I'm surprised he didn't give you what his catchphrase has become. Is "my boy."
Well, he says that, yeah, my boy. Remember, he did say that, like that, I guess. Yeah.
Wow. Well, there is one moment in your career that you will, if you are not known for it now, you will be after this interview. Jake Roberts credits you for being the first person to ever sell the DDT.
Yeah, he said I was stumbling. He's crazy. It wasn't no stumble. We were both. He thinks he's saying that. But Jake, it was hot, and we were in Lake Charles, Louisiana. I think it was town. I'm not sure, but I know that both of us were like just poured sweat, And so when he went, we were working the front face lock. I remember it well, and when I was calling high spots, tap and got this, that, run down back to the front face, and down we would go. Like he would crank the hold and we would like work you back down. Back then you actually work the hold and try to tell the story, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so about the third or fourth time we did that, my feet slipped through, and bam, we went straight down just like a DDT. And man, the crowd popped, dude. And I went, man, I said, Jake, you hear that? And so I said, let's do it again. So I called another spot. Bam, he drove me in there. They popped again, and then he started adding the back slap and all that to it. And then that's how DDT actually started. Wow. And then he gave it a name and started using it for a finish on TV.
Wow, how does it feel to have take the first official? I guess the term nowadays would be the finishing move.
To create one.
Yeah, I mean to create
one.
What
you're saying? How does it feel? I mean, it feels good to do that. I mean, to add something to the business that you remember to like that. It's like that's what I went to the Hall of Fame thing where they inducted Roddy a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many guys that should be in there, which of course that's in any sport, that I know of that don't get the credit because they didn't work for WWE. That could really be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, you know what I mean? It was such good workers. But,
absolutely.
Everybody don't get their ups all the time, But it does make me feel good that people know that I told the guy at my gym, this is before the DVD come out, right? I walked in one day, his name's Noel, and he likes to, he's just a guy, he likes to pick, and he's real good at nailing you with stuff. He's off the cuff, And so I come in and I go, hey, Noel. I said, I invented DDT. You know that, don't you? Yeah, Grappler, I invented a computer, okay? It's like, that's how much they believe it when you say that. But when Jim Roberts said it on his DVD, now all of a sudden I had 15, 20 guys come up to me. Man, brother, I want to shake your hand. It's an honor. I mean, they didn't believe me when I tell them,
You gotta give Jake credit for at least telling the truth about the story. He could have lied and said,
I appreciate him saying that. Yeah.
Wow.
I do thank him for saying that because it's the truth. No one believed me. I told people that before that to say anything. They thought I was just crazy, And then Jake tells them on the DVD, and they're all I bet 20 people call me up, and I was at a show, and they're all like, man, I can't believe it, that you were telling the truth. I said, what? I usually go around lying? That's what I was thinking, right?
All right, well, I guess the next question I have for you is, besides being the Grappler, you're also known as the, excuse me for saying this, the Dirty White Boy.
Yeah. How that came to pass?
Yeah, that's where I was going to ask.
Jimmy Hart did that. We were and they're good about that. We're in Memphis, and we were working as the Grapplers, and we came and worked the angle, and we headed another match with Lawler and I think Randy Savage, and we did this angle and that angle, and finally we come, like after this place so long, and they said, okay, we went to Memphis TV at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning, and they go, we're going to do this, and their hair is on the line. I forget who we're working with. Their hair is on the line, and the grapplers lose, their mask is on the line. Now, the mask is my whole character, right? And so I went to, I can't think of the guy's name that run it then, that was helping with it. Eddie Marlin, I believe is his name.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, Eddie, what are y'all planning on doing? He goes, we worked it out in the arena. I said, yeah, because you better, because I'm not taking my mask off. I'm not worried about it. Let's go do the interview, Grap. Okay? So I did the interview, just like they wanted. We get to the arena, the Monday, I think they were in Memphis. And they go, okay, we'll do this, do that, and bam, 1, 2, 3, and take your mask off. I said, whoop. We told you I'd take my mask off. Well, you can't expect them to shave. I said, you shouldn't have set the finish up. You should have did the promos without getting okay. I asked you at TV, and you said just do the promo. Well, we got to have it. We got to do the mask. That's it. We got to do that. I said, I ain't pulling the mask off. And so I just left. I went in and told Tony, which is my partner, get your stuff on. We're gone. He goes, what? So we left, right? We finished up. And so, I guess it was, I don't know, another 6 months or so. They wanted a team in there, and they brought us in with the Dirty White Boys and changed the whole gimmick instead of the mask. And Jimmy Hart's the one that came up with that idea.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
same guys, they liked the team, but we just didn't have, we changed the name and look and all that.
Now, speaking of Memphis, and again, there isn't a whole lot of information about you, so we're just winging it right now. I do apologize for that.
I'm sorry.
Did you have a chance to meet?
Was it very nice?
I apologize. I'm sorry. It's just. And anyway, Andy Kaufman. Did you have a chance to ever meet him?
I did meet Andy Kaufman. Yeah. Yeah, he was at the TV shows when we did it. I ribbed him, but he didn't really know how to take a rib. Back then, we came in on a Friday night from the town wrestling, and Saturday morning was a TV show at 8 o'clock we taped. And we come in and stay at the hotel, and there's a Denny's restaurant there. That's where all the boys stayed. And I walked in to eat, and me and Tony and my friend, Grappler too, and somebody else, and there was Andy Kaufman. He had like 5 girls with sitting with him. And I said, watch this. I went over, I said, hey, if I ever catch you with my girls again, I'm going to beat the shit out of you. Excuse my language.
Don't worry about it, sir. That's okay.
I'm going to beat the heck out of you. Okay? And he just stared at me. I thought he'd laugh, right? And so I went to TV the next morning. He's there, and he's like hiding from me. I started laughing. I said, guys, I don't know. He was a little different. But I never really had a conversation with him much. Or hello, how you doing? It's about it. You know?
Wow. Well, at that time, or maybe it was this run, I think, Marty Jannetty, who used to be a good friend of ours, he compliments you.
What did he do to you?
Long story, sir.
Long story.
Okay.
Be a good friend
You're
of ours.
doing the interview, not me, right?
Yeah.
I guess.
He's, let's just say we had a little bit of a discrepancy. He compliments you, though, every time anybody talks about, like, who got his feet wet, basically, and he says that you're one of the guys.
Yeah, I appreciate Marty doing that. Marty came in, I was booking Kansas City.
Right.
And I think it was Ted Oakes. He gave me his pictures, and this kid's pretty good. I think he might have trained him, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, and I took a look at him, and he had a good attitude, and he was, the women loved him, he was young, and we put him together in a team. I think we called them the Uptown Boys or something back then.
Yep.
And he was a good little hand. I mean, he worked great, so we, right off the bat, we started giving him a push, and I've always got along with Marty. I've never had a problem with him,
Mm-hmm. How about somebody else who always mentions you in interviews, Percy Pringle, formerly, I guess Paul
Percy,
Bear.
I love Percy. I love Percy, man. He's,
to be honest with you, you guys have a very similar, I'm not surprised you guys are friends, because you guys have a very similar sense of humor and stuff. It's very.
Is that right? Percy was in, Florida, I think. We working for Mike Graham. Eddie was dead then. I actually worked for Eddie Graham when I first started. He was still alive when I started the business, but Percy was manager Rick Rude, I believe. And then we came in, and me and Rip Oliver tagged up, and he managed us too. And then I was with him, I think there in Texas too, Florida and Texas.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, what do you?
But he didn't manage me in Texas. I would just kind of work as a single there.
Yeah.
How about someone else who credits you, I guess, Matt Bourne?
Oh, Matt was is a good friend, and I wrestled. You know, we worked together in all territories all over. And a tough son of a gun, that guy. You know what I mean? And I would never want to mess with him. But he's a good friend, and he's we've just been brothers through the years. You know, I mean, from day one that we met, we just got along with it. You know, I mean, we don't get along with everybody. I don't get along with everybody, but it's like we were just good friends, and you know, in the business. So I appreciate him giving me good compliments, because I do the same back for him. You know.
Yeah, you also mentioned Mid-South, and there's one name, or Memphis. There's one name we have to ask you about, Jerry Lawler.
Yeah. Jerry Lawler. Jerry was more, when I was there, well, every time I was there a couple times. He was part of the company, so he was in business, like running the business. So he didn't hang out with the boys, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so when I seen Jerry, it would be in the locker room or at TV, and mainly at TV. And it was all business, you know? It was all business with what you're doing, here's this and that. So I never hung out, partied with him, drank with him, did anything like that, you know? Mm-hmm. It was all just straight up business. Yeah, I never had a problem with him, but I did what, mainly what I was told, except for that one time when they asked me to pull my mask off without even, conferring with me at all. But, I didn't think that was business at all, so that's why I did it that way.
All right, well, we understand that you're working on a television pilot for Portland television.
Well, what we got going on here in Portland is you got 4 or 5 different people trying to promote. You got a guy that has the name Portland Wrestling that, and Don Coss is, that used to announce for Don Owens. And then he got one in his promotion called the New Revolution, and he got a promotion called Portland Championship Wrestling, and you got one called Portland Extreme Wrestling, and you got one, you name it, just add wrestling at the end, they got it. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to see if there's possible. I mean, we're just going to shop it around. I mean, you need television to advertise your product, and there's no way to compete with the budget that Vince has got. But we're just taking some stuff, putting it together, and if we get an opportunity, which is not even there yet, we'll have it on hand so we can present it if the opportunity arises. So what I was talking to you about was I was going over there to the station just to put together some tape and try to pick the best stuff out and just start working on it, But there's not a concrete place or an opportunity right now sitting there waiting. It's just we're just doing that on our own right now.
Okay. Wasn't there a company just a few years back that had some local TV?
Well, they still do actually. Portland Wrestling, it's Don Cox, and he still has his own a cable channel. It's right. On Comcast, and he still has TV on there. But it's so close to like cable access that the sponsors consider it that, so it's hard to sell sponsorship on it. They're like, I don't want to promote my product there. So you actually need a broadcast TV, something that's local, like Don Owens at Channel 12. And it was an institution. Everybody still remembers, in the day I used to watch. That's what you need, to make, and you can probably do some decent houses if you got the right cast of characters together, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Now, as somebody who's thinking of putting together something for modern age wrestling, what is your opinion of wrestling with all the new attributes that go along with it in terms of the women and the swearing and everything else that's
well,
now on?
We had a match Saturday, and the guy went out like the third match, and he goes, "Let me tell you effing something," right on the mic. And I look out there, and there's like 5-year-olds and 6 and 7. I don't, like, for some reason in me, I don't think those little kids should be exposed to that. Mm-hmm. But if you're not up with the modern times, I mean, like with the girls running around, I mean, they see that on everything you turn on TV. I have to say this: you can knock Vince McMahon, people can all they want to, but look, he's turned that into $1 billion corporation. You know what I mean? if you're coming from the aspect of money, the guy's been very successful, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing his moral value, he's crossed the line many, many times. I don't agree with all of that, but I think you could do a local show and still stay within the parameters and have a decent show in a crowd. But Vince is up there competing. He's got all this money out. I just the only opinion I got is the guy's been successful, so you can't knock success. But some of the stuff with the kids, I don't know if my kids are grown, but I don't know if I let little youngsters like that watch it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But he's not hitting that demographic. So he's
I worked at a
demographic.
daycare center once for a few months over the summer, and this was at the height of when the Steve Austin stuff was going around. And don't get me wrong, Steve Austin was a great wrestler and great character and everything, and I give him all the credit in the world. But like the kids were bringing in the shirts that have like the middle fingers up in the air, and I'm like,
that kind of stuff, man.
I'm looking at the parents. I don't agree with that. What is that? Mm-hmm. Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
I don't agree. No, I don't agree with that at all. I'm like you. I just don't think that's right for little kids to be doing.
All right. Well, if we can step back in time a little bit, when the Dirty White Boys were debuted, was that when Kim Anthony joined up with you guys?
Who?
There's a Dirty White girl, Kim Anthony.
You know what? No, she came along after me and Tony split.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she came along after it. We never had a girl valet when we were together.
Okay.
We got her after we split ways. So I mean, I know who she is. I met her, but she never did. I don't know if she came out with us one time. I think whenever I was I went to Birmingham once. Tony got me booked with the Fullers way back, and I think that's where he met her. And I think she might have came out that night. That's the only time I ever been around her much.
Okay. Well, once again, the internet has gotten us wrong.
Yeah.
They're trying to do that.
Oh, I hear you.
There was a match I found in my WCCW tape collection of the Grappler teaming with Hollywood John Tatum. With Missy Hyatt. So I guess my next question is, do you have any fond memories of Missy and Jack Tatum?
Well, Missy and Johnny, when I was in Texas, were doing their thing, and I always got along with Missy. She was my buddy. We got along, and Johnny was my friend. I never had no problem. I remember them, it's like they're a couple, so they have their arguments here and there, but heck, I still do that with my wife, so. But I never, nothing that really be exciting I can tell you, I don't think, that I ran across except for, not really just the same old, ballet with her boyfriend as a wrestler type thing. I don't really have a story. We're just in Texas all doing our thing,
All right, well, I guess my final question, I don't know if James has any more. Okay. Are there any wrestlers in the Portland area we should keep an ear or an eye on?
You know what? I wrestled. I'm glad my wife ain't here. He's supposed to wrestle no more. Anyway, she don't want me to get in the ring. I manage. Okay, if anybody asks you, I'm a manager. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So, but I wrestled this kid. They call him Rave, and I don't know how he talks because I hadn't heard him talk. But he was very, very humble, and you know what? He reminded me of a Art Bar. He worked. They say he looks like a skinny rhino. That's what he looks like, and he can do all the high spots they do nowadays. But I went out there and had an old school match with him. Okay, and he was very humble and thanked me, and I was proud of the kid. He was so nervous before he went to the ring, he couldn't hardly talk, and he had to work with me. And I was like, just relax, brother. Everything's gonna be fine out here. And he worked his butt off, and he stood out for me. There's a kid here named Exile. He's like 6'5", 335. They all have. He's gonna be a good hand. They all need some work. We're actually fixing to open a wrestling school in January. It's called it's gonna be called Extreme Pro Wrestling. But the promotion. We got another new promotion opening up, by the way. But it's gonna. The fellow that's doing it is putting the money in behind it. It's gonna be like a 6,300 square foot new building. It's gonna have 2 rings. It's gonna have a place to do. We're gonna run shows in there. Also, we're gonna do Monday through Friday training from 3 to 9 o'clock. We have it in 3 phases, and we're gonna have like on Saturdays. What do you call those things? Just a second, I'll tell you. It's like bringing different guys for like workshops and different stars, and we're supposed to do all that's supposed to come together in January. We made the deal yesterday, actually, on it.
Oh, really?
And, yeah, and I'm gonna be the head trainer. I'll be the head trainer of the whole situation. So. Dustin, that Exile, he's going to be one guy that's going to be in there. He'll be a good guy to look at. They all got aspirations of working with events. You know that. They want to go, and everybody wants to be on WWE. And I don't blame them. When I was their age, I would do the same, you know.
Exactly.
And if we can help them and boost them, if they got the talent, we're going to try our best, you know. And then him and that one kid, Ray, and there's some good talent around here, but I'll have more. If I could later, I'd like to do another interview with you sometime. Once this school is off and, once this school's off and running, then I'll have more of an idea of who to really think about, look at, because then I'll be able to get in the ring with them. Because everybody's going to come to us like a magnet, because they all want a place to train. Mm-hmm. And so then I'll get a chance to look at all the talent coming around.
Well, we'd be honored to have you as a guest in the future.
Okay.
My question
sounds like a deal.
Exactly. My final question is, you mentioned your wife doesn't want you in the ring. I'm not sure, is that because of an injury or?
Oh yeah, I had the old 5th and 6th vertebrae replaced, and I got the cage in my neck.
Oh boy.
And, yeah, and they have, the operation of the boys, and actually I got 2 cracked vertebrae right now and so I'm not really supposed to take bumps. But I've been working so long, I can work around it, but she don't think so. So as far as she knows, I am manager, okay? But unless we get TV, then it's going to be kind of hard to hide that. But we'll see what happens. Maybe I'm making some money, and when you're making money, they don't mind as much.
What do you think of guys though? It's the new thing in wrestling that everybody's now. It's almost like getting to be football and baseball, where if a guy's over 35, they're old and all this crap. And I mean, I don't agree with that at all. But
I don't either, man. I don't either, because I went out there and wrestled that kid, and I'm 48, and he's probably 20.
Right.
And we had one hell of a match. People enjoyed it. I just wrestled Jimmy Snuka last year, and they're sitting there, we're on TV, and the matches were going short, and they said, man, they're flipping out. We need 20 minutes. And the next match is me and Snuka. And Snuka just had his stomach cut on. Remember, he had that operation. I don't know if you heard about it.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
And so they're like, how are you going to get 20? I said, I'll get 20. How are you going to get 20? I said, just hold the cameras, okay? I'll get 20. And we got over 20. And the people weren't bored. They were happy. They had good, I mean, I've seen a lot of good workers over 35.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying that it's kind of become.
Well, they do. I agree with you. They do. They think, oh, he's over the hill now. He's over 35. It's getting like the football and baseball thing,
Yeah, I know. But I mean, I remember back in the late 70s, a lot of the guys were rather, I don't want to say heavy, but they weren't exactly toned, and they had to be.
But you know what? You know what it is too is it's like I think what they're talking about is like. The guys can't do the moonsaults, and they can't do this and that and this and that, when they get a certain age. Maybe. I think that's probably what they're referring to. But, you know what? We had a good match, and we didn't do any of that. But, we did some spots, but we didn't do all, I'm sure the other matches, they had a table match on right after us. So they got to see it anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. Exactly. Well, you got anything else you want to ask him, James?
I just wanted to say thank you for sitting down and doing this interview once again. I do apologize for not thinking of doing it a lot sooner. It was great to sit down and talk to you.
You know what? I was only kidding you, James. I appreciate you inviting me. Thanks for everything, man. And I would like to come back home and do another one later once we get to school going, so I can kind of keep you guys updated on what's happening with the school and all that.
Actually, I have a bit of a proposition for you. Okay. Do you have a website?
I don't have a website personally, no.
you guys going to be doing anything on the internet to
We're
help
going to
promote
get a website. We'll have a website with that school. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, well, when you guys have that up and running and you have the website up, let me know. I'll gladly put a banner up on the website and help promote it the best I can.
Hey,
I want to
man, I
help you guys
appreciate
out
it.
the best I can.
I appreciate it very much, guys.
All right, take care of yourself.
Thank you very much for spending the time with us.
Okay.
And, and please don't hit us with that heel boot of yours.
I won't, brother, I promise. And anything I can do for you guys, James, just call me. I'll do my best to do it, okay?
Sounds great, man. Take care of yourself. Have a great night.
My name is James Walsh, and I'd like to thank you for checking out the Wrestling Epicenter here on YouTube. If you have not done so already, please do. Click that subscription button and the notifications bell. This way you'll be notified anytime I upload any new or new to you classic content from our archives that date back to 2002. If you get the opportunity, please also check out www.wrestlingepicenter.com for all your wrestling news and info needs, as well as our store to keep us going free and clear.